Hi guys, Cameron here, Freedom Solar and Batteries here at Charmhaven on the sunny central coast of New South Wales. 4 things that you should ask yourself before you invest in a solar battery for your home. Solar batteries are now becoming talked about every day. The inquiries coming in for batteries is huge, and I'm spending probably more and more time quoting people for solar batteries than ever before. The cost of energy going through the roof, and it's like the budget the other night, it warned us that the cost of power is going to go up by 50% over the next 18 months or so. So you are probably thinking that if you've got a current solar system that I need a battery that's going to solve all my problems. So need to ask yourself a few questions. Number 1 is, why do you want the battery? What is it do you think it can do for you? If it's the battery, just by virtue of the fact it's standing there, doesn't actually solve problems. So what is it you want it to do? Now, what batteries can do is load shift. So energy that you produced during the day through your solar system runs your home through the day while you're generating. But there is always surplus solar energy, and that's exported to the grid. You might be generating at a rate of 5 kilowatts, but you're only using at a rate of 2. So that 3 at that time is being exported. So that amount of energy is being exported. Typically, people are getting paid rubbish for that, 5 to 10 cents. When then turn around at peak time, they're paying 60 cents. So how can we, but peak time is after solar peak. Peak time is, solar is pretty much trailed off for the day, and now you're home to use energy. So if you can, how can you get all that surplus energy through the day that you sent down to the grid? How can you get it back? If it was a straight swap, then it's fair, but it's not fair, is it? So, if you're paying 65 cents a kilowatt hour, but you're only earning 5, then you're 12 times better off to try and use that power in peak time. So that's where the battery comes in. You charge the battery with that surplus, then as the solar wanes off in the afternoon, the battery picks up the load until it basically goes flat. Gets you through the peak time, the expensive time, so you've used your daytime solar energy to power your house at night. That's the biggest benefit that you can. You can also have backup protection, less of an issue here on the coast. In more regional areas, yes, it's an issue, a lot of people are seeking it. But here on the coast, it's not necessarily the number one motivation. It's trying to save money. So is that what you're looking for? Do you want to load shift benefits, or is it blackout protection? Blackout protection is some few additional bits and pieces we've got to add, extra wiring and things like that to give you that blackout protection. And we only support generally 2 circuits. We'll choose the power circuit that runs the kitchen so that your fridge works and you don't spoil your food in a blackout, and 1 light circuit, so probably half your house will have lights. That's what we provide when we put backup protection in. Next question, 2. How much are you willing to spend on this system? And is finance going to be required, either for all of it or part of it? You see, a battery system has got to be big enough to give you a reasonable benefit. If you put a small battery in, it's going to cost you a fair bit of money, but it might only be able to load shift 3 or 4 kilowatt hours in a day, which is not a massive benefit. It doesn't give you a big, you don't see that in the bill really. So you want a larger type battery. Start at 10 kilowatt hours, 13 kilowatt hours. You can go as big as you like. So all of these come with a cost. If you're spending around about, like we started, around about $1,000 or $1,100 per kilowatt hour of storage, and you can go up to $1,500, $1,600 per kilowatt hour of storage, with going up, up the grades with batteries. We actually have some really top end batteries here in the country. We've got a couple of really good brands made here in Australia, and we are an authorised reseller for Red Earth batteries in Brisbane. If you're a watcher of the block, you'll know Red Earth batteries will be familiar to you. They're a high quality, high end battery, So you're going to pay more for those. But the versatility of those batteries and the quality of workmanship is really second to none. So if it's hard to find these big lumps of money to spend on a box that's going to stand next to the house. So that's where finance can come in. Finance can really help you with that, and you can space your payments out over very long periods of time and to make it work for you. Next question, three. Can your current solar system support the charging of the battery, or do you need more solar? And if you don't have solar, of course you need to put a solar system on. The reason why is that we're only charging the battery off the surplus solar energy. So that's solar energy that you've generated during the day but didn't use at that time. Solar is a dynamic thing. The production comes and goes with the sunlight. But that's fairly well set. There's a finite amount of energy that will generate at that given moment. Your load could be different. So you could be generating 5 kilowatts at a rate of 5 kilowatts at one moment. You might only be consuming 2. So that 3 gets exported back to the grid. If you are only generating 2 and you're using 5, well then you bring in the 3, the balance, to support the loads. And all that's seamless. You don't know it's happening, but it's all seamless. When you introduce a battery into that, then the surplus energy that we would normally be exporting to the grid in those times of oversupply, we're actually going to store in the battery. So then that energy there is stored in the battery for your use in the evening once the solar starts to drain off. So you'll start to use battery power basically until it goes flat that evening. So does the current system provide enough surplus to be able to charge your battery? If you've got a 10 kilowatt hour battery, 10 kilowatt hour storage battery, then you're going to have to make sure you've got 14 kilowatt hours of surplus that's being exported on average every day through winter, for example. In summer, it's usually better. We produce usually double the amount of energy in the 6 warmer months as we do in the 6 cooler months. So summer we do generally, unless someone's got a super duper air conditioner, we generally do have a lot more surplus available in summer. But in winter it's always a challenge because the days are shorter. We get, especially in like this winter we've just had, shorter, less sun hours in the day, lower sun angle. So we need to accommodate that. We need to make sure that we can charge your battery fully every day. That's what we need to be able to do. If we don't do that, then it could be detrimental to the long-term life of that battery if we don't regularly fully charge it. So you need to accommodate that. You might need to put a larger solar system on it, add to a current system. So one thing that 10, 12 years ago, we had solar systems that were only like 6 or 8 panels. They were 1.5 to 2 kilowatt systems. Now, they're way too small to support a battery. They're even just way too small as a solar system in general in today's households and energy market. Because back then they were paid, we got 65 cents per kilowatt hour that was exported. They were gross metered, so every bit of power that they made was exported. And the cost we were paying for power was like less than half of what we pay now. So they were quite lucrative. They were a really good deal. They paid themselves off quite quickly. But that's not the case now. Now you're getting, if you're lucky, 6 cents a kilowatt hour, not 60. And now our energy cost is 3 times at what it used to be. So now people have got these 1.5 kilowatt systems and they're still getting massive bills, and this little system's not really making an impact for them. It is making an impact, it's just too small for them to see. So you need a much bigger system. You need to start at least with a 5 kilowatt inverter and 6.6 of panels, at least, and then work up from there. So yeah, that's what you've got to work out. Do I have enough solar? Do I need to get more solar to make this thing work and to be able to get the maximum value out of the battery? Solar is relatively cheap because the rebate applies to the solar panels. There's no rebate applying to batteries. So the solar is always the cheaper bit of the scenario. If you've got a 11.5 grand 10 kilowatt hour 5 kilowatt inverter battery, to add 6.6 kilowatts to that, might be just an extra $5,000 because there's a $3,000 rebate that applies to the panels on that. So you may need to add more solar. So next question is, where are you going to put it? Where's it got to go? Most of them go in the garage, but we don't really want to put them on, a gyprock wall that backs onto a bedroom. We do, if it's going to go like that, we need to put fireproof sheeting behind it and over on the ceiling. We want to try and put it on an external wall if we can, a brick wall or a masonry wall of some type rather than something that's got timber in it. If we're going to put them outside, and there are a lot of batteries that we can install outside, we really need to put at least a shade over it and stop direct rain. We're doing one very shortly where we're actually building a fence around it and putting a roof on it, so it'll actually kind of like a little shed that we're going to put it in. So that's one option. So you just need to be aware of where it's got to go. If it goes in the garage, there's lots of rules and regs of how we're going to install it, and it's going to have a bollard next to it, so you can't drive into it with a car. And that bollard in some garages actually removes the ability to get a car in it. So just be aware of those things. We don't want to put them on a back wall of a garage, because if your foot slips off the brake and onto the accelerator, you're going to go straight into it. So we don't want to do that. So where you're going to put it is a consideration, and there may be some added costs in a different position. If it's a long way from the meter box, or we've got to build a hut for it, or we just need to accommodate that. So that's probably the long and the short of it. Battery investment is now becoming a more realistic investment. For the last 8 years that we've been doing this, I mainly taught people how to batteries. I have a battery background, so it's not that I don't understand them. It's just I do understand them, but and what they can do is spectacular. But the cost has been ridiculous. Now, the cost of not doing it is now greater. So it's one of those things that, it costs a lot of money. We have finance products to help you with that, but the cost of not doing it is actually going to cost you more than doing it. So it's a bit of a no-brainer now. So there's still a lot of people that really don't need batteries and maybe work at home through the day, put lots and lots of solar on there. They use very little energy at night, and they can achieve their goals with just big solar. But the battery is now a realistic option for a lot of people. But ask yourself these questions. Ask someone else these questions. Ask me these questions. And be comfortable with the answers that you get before you make a decision to make such a large purchase like this. It is a fair bit of money, and you want to know that you're going to get a return on your investment, and you want to be comfortable in spending that money. And that's where people like me come in. We're not shiny shoed salesmen to try and just flog you a battery. There's plenty of guys out there, plenty of companies out there that'll just sell you a battery because you asked for it. It's just like selling a refrigerator. But small businesses like ours that are local, that may well be bumping into you up at Coles or something, or the shopping centre, are going to want to give you good advice so you can make informed, educated purchasing decisions, and be comfortable with what you've got and be happy, and get the benefit that you need. So that's the long and the short of the battery discussion. If you want to make a comment, if you want to ask a question, fire off a question. You can have a look at our website, probably even get a finance quote on our website at freedomsolarandbatteries.com.au. We've got a finance calculator on that site to give you an idea of the length of term and the repayments that would be required on a particular battery size. We're always improving our website. There's a bit of a blog there as well. There's some video on solar analytics. It's bits and pieces. We've done a bit of a revamp, but it's always getting updated. So, give us a call, have a talk to us. We're here on the Central Coast. We service that whole local area, and looking forward to talking to you soon. See ya. Bye.